Hi friends, welcome. I'm Tasha Rose and this is Radical Mothering. I wanted to make a video today and I'm doing it in between really big thunderstorms. We just had one that was just a deluge of rain, lots of really big boomers. It was amazing, and there's more coming behind it. So I'm going to try to make this really fast because I don't want that to interfere at all with the video. I'm in my classroom and I had the window open slightly and I wasn't in here and I had forgotten it was open. So there's a little bit of dampness in here, but thankfully nothing that was on the desk is ruined. So I wanted to make a video today because today is Thursday and that's going to be the day of the week that I'm going to talk to you about my philosophy on pregnancy and birth. I'm 13 weeks today, that's why I'm doing it on Thursdays. 13 weeks today, so I'm just at the very end of the first trimester and beginning the second. I'll give you a little bit of the background about my birth experience. My first daughter was born in a hospital. She was induced a week early. Excuse me, oh my gosh. She was induced a week early and there was really no reason for it. I did find out later on that my OB was leaving on vacation. So she was induced, and as a result of the induction, I ended up having an epidural, and that's kind of because Pitocin is basically a 1-2 punch, and it doesn't build your body up like how oxytocin does naturally. When you start labor and your body starts contracting, your contractions kind of just build up, and it's to get you used to it, to get you used to what your body is working to achieve. And Pitocin doesn't work like that. Pitocin is just like, bam, you're having contractions, and it's intense and it's really painful. So I had an epidural and that was, that you hear often in home birth circles, the cascade of interventions. Well, I was on that cascade. Thankfully, she came really fast and I didn't need to have a cesarean. But what's funny is the nurses, they checked me and they said, oh, well, you're only at 2 centimeters and you'll be here for hours because this is your first baby. I mean, you probably shouldn't expect to have a baby until tomorrow. And like within a couple of hours after that, she was out. So my total labor time with her was like 5 hours. From administration of Pitocin to her actual birth. So that's how that went. And I didn't really realize until after she was born that the things that I went through in the hospital were completely unnecessary. And that's what spurred me to get educated as a midwife. So I took a lot of midwifery education, sought out a practicing midwife to apprentice under. And I had my second daughter at home unassisted, just nobody there, just unassisted. And and she was born in a couple of hours. My labor with her was 2 hours, and that was it. Very precipitous labors, which is something I have to keep in mind because a precipitous labor can cause problems in terms of bleeding afterward. So I'm really careful about that, and I use herbal medications I use motherwort after I have babies to help my uterus start to shrink back down again. My first son, he was 45 minutes from start to finish. I woke up, my water broke. As I woke up, I hadn't been contracting or anything, and then 45 minutes later, he was born. So let's see. First one was 7 pounds 4 ounces. Second one was 8 pounds. Third one was 10 pounds. My fourth was born a full week early, and he came at, I think he was 8 pounds. You start to forget. He was like 8 pounds. And then my fifth was born right on her expected date, April 30th, just a couple of hours in at like 3 in the morning or something. And she was only a couple of hours tops, like maybe hour and 45 minutes roughly of labor. It was funny because I was fully naked when she was born and my feet were really cold, and I told Travis, that I needed socks on my feet. And as soon as he got those socks on my feet, she shot right out. And I mean, she shot out. She was like, bam, out. And then, let's see, with Henri, he's our youngest. He'll be 3 at the end of October. He was a couple of hours. I had been having, he was almost a week over, and I'd been having just a really miserable week with lots of prodromal labor for that whole week. And I was really tired, just really sluggish. And then the whole day before he was born, I cleaned everything. And I was like, oh, okay, anytime now, you know, when you're like looking at your watch, TikTok, when is this baby gonna get here? And I called Travis around 3 o'clock that afternoon, or 2:30 or so that afternoon, and I was like, I think I might be in labor. And we had just been relaxing on my bed all day. Me and the other children who were home, we'd been relaxing all day and watching shows and just napping and eating and just doing our thing. And then when he's like, let me know because I've got some meetings this afternoon, so if I need to come home, just like give me a heads up. And I said, by 3 o'clock, I said, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm in labor. And he said, well, should I come home or should I go to my meeting? I said, well, maybe you should come home. And then by 5 o'clock, we were ordering pizza because he'd been born. And it was all good. It was funny, as a little aside here, his boss at the time gave him a ride home because he was taking public transit to his office down in the south suburbs. And he gave him a ride home, and he's just like taking his time, puttering the way that he does, getting out of the car. And this is relayed to me from his old boss, puttering and taking his time to get out of the car. And his boss is like, isn't your wife having a baby right now? And he's like, yeah, she's fine, don't worry about it. Because by this time we've got it down pat, you know. And he's like, she's gonna do her thing, and I'm just gonna be there and, you know, help as she needs me to. And that was accurate. I mean, he got home and probably 45 minutes later Henri was born. So that's kind of the really quick rundown of my experiences with birth. And along with birth, unfortunately, sometimes comes miscarriage. I have miscarried, confirmed 2 times and possibly a 3rd time. We hadn't confirmed pregnancy at all, so I'm not entirely sure if I was pregnant, but everything about that flow was very much like a miscarriage, and I don't normally have very heavy cycles at all. So that I'm very confident that that was probably a miscarriage, and now pregnant with this baby. So that makes either 9 or 10 pregnancies, and really excited, feeling really great at this point. And just a really quick pregnancy update. This first trimester was really actually pretty decent. I was really tired a lot, which is to be expected. And I am, it depends on what I'm wearing, but you can tell, and my kids were starting to say, hey, Mom, you look pregnant. And we hadn't told them yet, you know, and you heard my story on the announcement the other day on the video I posted. But I was really tired and really hungry all the time. And I would get queasy, but not vomity. I think I only vomited 1 time, which is actually very different. My first pregnancy, I had hyperemesis, and that was really, really difficult. I was actually in the hospital for dehydration over that, and it was pretty rough. But every pregnancy since then has actually gotten a lot easier in terms of those first trimester symptoms. So this first trimester was really pretty much a breeze, and I'm coming out of that now. When I was nauseous, it would happen at nighttime, at bedtime. So I would either just lay down and go to sleep after drinking some water, or I would get, you know, a heavy protein snack like cheese or a turkey stick or something like that. Excuse me, I'm still battling a little bit of a allergy thing getting its way out of my chest. Sorry about that. I had a little bit of an interruption there. So snacks, and then drinking lots of water, still drinking coffee. I have always drank coffee through all my pregnancies. I always eat soft cheeses throughout my pregnancies, and I eat sushi, and I mean, I don't follow any of those rules. So now I'm jumping into a little bit of birth philosophy. So I think I will give you just a really brief overview here, and we're already at almost 10 minutes for this video, so I'm just going to try to make it quick. But a brief overview for me is in doing study about the history of midwifery and obstetric medicine in the West. While obstetric medicine has helped solve some of our birth issues in terms of high risk births, overall it has really stripped away women's knowing. And we see this especially in the United States. The United States, and I don't think a lot of people realize this, and I can link resources in the description box, but the United States for maternal and neonatal outcomes ranks dead last in the industrialized world. And that's really horrific. If we're supposedly this bastion of wealth and understanding about medicine and knowledge and intellect and superior medical technology, why are we ranking dead last in the developed world for our birth outcomes? Whereas there are places in the undeveloped, in third world countries and whatnot, where they have their issues around birth too, but they have on some levels a lot of better birth outcomes than we do. Our C-section rate has continued to soar. We're at almost 40% by this point. I think last time I checked, I shouldn't say almost 40%. I think last time I checked it was like 33 or 35%. And whatever credit you want to give to the World Health Organization, the standard that has been decided is, at the last time I saw, was that there shouldn't be a C-section rate above 15% in any developed country. That's really insane that we have such a high C-section rate. Birth is hard. and a lot of this comes out of the idea that we are not supposed to ever feel any kind of pain or anything, whatever. And I'm not saying that women should feel pain as like a punishment or anything. I'm saying that the pain is part of the process. And it's not stronger than you, it is you. Like, this is you when you're birthing. It's not stronger than you. The pain is you, But in general, there's so much disassociation with women and our bodies and how they function in our natural process, in having our babies, in gestating our babies, in birthing our babies, and in feeding our babies and raising them, that it has complicated the matter so much that we see us at the very bottom of the lists and some of the highest C-section rates in the world. It is a problem. And I'm so happy to see more women waking up to that and choosing a more natural route, if it's birth in a birthing center with a midwife, or if it's home birth with a midwife, or even women like myself who birth unassisted at home. And women who also birth without ever seeing a midwife. I don't go see a midwife. I used to go just for paperwork documentation, but I don't anymore. I have zero reason to. And most women don't, honestly. But we have gotten it pounded into our brain since the beginning of the 20th century that this obstetric model knows more than women's wisdom does, and that women's bodies do, and that midwives have. And there's a political cycle really that happens, and I have to check with my friend again about the title of this book. I can't remember it, but it discusses the political cycles that have historically happened with regard to the practice of midwifery and women's natural birthing processes. So long and short really is, I don't personally trust an obstetric system to do what it claims it does. I think that it is harmful to women in a variety of ways, and this series is going to touch on all of those ways that I find, and many other people find, the obstetric model to be harming women in pregnancy and birth, and what we can do to overcome that. There's that leftist resist movement. Well, I really feel like the number one thing that women can be doing for a resistance is not about resisting any kind of political entity. It's about resisting these concepts that say we can't do what our bodies have been tasked with doing. Yes, there are times that we need some intervention because there is something catastrophic that we have not the ability naturally to overcome. But those instances are not as common as anybody is led to believe. Birth is not this dramatic thing that we witness in movies and on television. It is actually a very calm process. Yes, there are women who shout and scream and roar during, and then there are women who are really quiet. Yes, there are women who have 58-hour labors. I know a woman who birthed her baby after 58 hours at home. And then there are women like myself who it's just you sneeze and the baby falls out, you know. It is a wide variety or wide array of experience, and the majority of the time it doesn't need obstetric involvement. And if you think to how many times you hear stories about babies born in cars and babies born in elevators and babies born in the taxi and babies born in, was that celebrity whose wife had their baby in the foyer of their building. You know, you hear these stories all the time and everybody's like, whoa, that's amazing. But really it's not. Like, that's normal birth. What's amazing is that they had it in the foyer of the apartment building or in the taxi cab instead of staying home, you know. But we're culturally conditioned that you have to go to the hospital to have your baby in this sterile environment that is overly sterile. Like, there's nothing, no semblance of home. Your own environmental, you know, your air, your smells, the natural germs and yeasts and everything that's in your own air around you, none of that is present. And that's what's really going to be healthy for the mother and the baby. You know, we're told that this sterile environment is better for us and that the doctors know everything. And how many times women say, my doctor won't let me. These are the same women who would also champion, well, my body and my bodily autonomy. Okay, well, why are we not asserting our bodily autonomy when it comes to basically the most important thing in humanity, and that's the regeneration of our species? You know, why are we not advocating for our autonomy? And we pretend that we're doing that by allowing doulas to come into hospitals, but really you're still just deferring to this other person to assert for you. And I totally understand, you know, women are in a space when we're birthing. But I don't think that we're ever so far, and I've witnessed, including my own children, 276 births. We are in a space that allows us to center and focus and birth our babies, but at the same time, we're still acutely aware of everything that's going on around us and capable of asserting what it is that we need and don't need, and what we want and what we don't want. My husband knows that I don't want to be touched when I'm laboring. I don't want my children to touch me. I don't want my husband to touch me. When I do want help or to be touched, or if I need my socks put on me, or if I need help getting my shirt off or whatever, then I ask for it and I need it then, and that's all that there is. But otherwise, they let me do what I need to do. And that's what we have to stop. We have to stop thinking that women are incapable when it comes to childbirth. And we have to stop thinking that women can't assert themselves, and we have to stop insisting it as a society. We have to stop insisting these things about women, because it just feeds that fear that we can't do it, and that we need a doctor, and that we need a hospital, and that we need to have our stay, and that we need to have our drugs and all of that. And before I end this, I do want to say that I do support a woman's decision to birth wherever she wants to, with whoever she wants to, present. If that's completely by herself in a bathroom with just a candle and herself and her baby, then that's what she chooses. Or if it is in the sterile hospital with a doctor and 7 nurses and her mother and father-in-law and her mother and father and siblings and her husband and all of her children, like, okay, that's not how I would do it, but, you know, more power to you. My whole point is I want women to stop giving up that control over their knowing, over the knowing that all women carry in them when we're going to have our babies. So that's really all I wanted to cover in this first video. I'm going to sit back down with my outline and decide which weeks I want to do which topics, and I think we'll do this weekly. It might sometimes be bi-weekly, or every other week, bi-weekly, just in case I get hemmed up with life or volleyball or the other podcast or shows or whatever. But I just wanted to kind of put a starting point there and just where I'm coming from with this. Birth has become an industry instead of something that we do. And I don't actually come at it from any kind of woo perspective, because it's a natural bodily function. There's no woo involved. Do women experience something in that? Is there something existential that women experience? Absolutely. But the whole process itself is not woo. There's nothing sacred about a bodily reflex, you know, that reflexive action of your baby coming out of your body. Like, that's not woo. I think we are mistaking what empowerment actually is when it comes to women and having their babies, and we are mistaking what women actually know how to do without the aid of this obstetric model that really does interfere with our ability to carry our babies confidently, birth our babies confidently, and then mother our babies confidently. And you'll hear me say this over and over again. The ways that we change the world is how we gestate our babies, how we birth our babies, how we feed our babies, and how we raise our babies. Those 4 points to me are the most pivotal components to changing how we interact with one another as human beings. So I'm going to end it on that. And the next storm is starting to roll in, so I'm going to go make some lunch and then head to Zoe's first volleyball game of the season. I will talk to you guys probably tomorrow with another video, and then I'll see you here if you're coming for the birth series every Thursday. Subscribe if you would, hit the bell if you want to have instant notification when I post a new video, and give me a thumbs up and share the video. All right, thanks guys. Bye.